Okay, so today I'm gonna explain the radians and the special triangles, and this project is made by me, Omar Khattab. So radian means the equivalent to the angle subtended at the center of a circle by an arc equal in length to the radius, which means that the arc is made up of the length of the radius of the circle. Second thing, where does it come from? The radian comes from the length of a circle's radius. As I said, the segment of a circle's circumference that corresponds to the angle made up by two radius lines makes an arc. So the two radius lines of the circle makes the arc. That's it. So the unit circle can be used to find the radian from a certain angle, or the opposite. You can find the angle from a certain radian that's given. In this slide I'll show you how to convert from degree to the radian. To convert from the degree to the radian, you should use the formula of the degree, then you multiply it by pi over 180. For example, if the angle is 60, you just multiply it by pi over 180, and that will give you 1 over 3 radiant. And the sign for the radian is RAD. The second example is a 90 degree, and if you multiply it by pi over 180, it will give you 1 over 2. And this slide is the opposite of the previous one. Here's how to convert from radian to degree. To convert from the radian to degree, you should use the formula of radiant times the 180 over pi. And it's really hard. Some people can mix up between pi over 180 and 180 over pi. If you use pi over 180, then you'll get the degree. If you use 180 over pi, then you'll get the radiant. An example of how to get the degree is you have a given 16 radiant times the 180 over pi. It'll give you 916.7 degree. And if you, the second example is 5 radiant times 180 over pi, it will give you 286.4 degree. In this slide you'll learn how to find the negative radiant. You can use the same formula, which is the degree times pi over 180. For example, if you have 210 degrees times pi over 180, you can just cross out the zeros, and then it'll be 21 times pi over 1 over 18, and that will give you 7 pi over 6. Here you learn how to find the negative degree. You'll still use the same formula, which is the radiant times 180 over pi. For example, if the radiant is 5 pi over 4, you multiply it by 180 over pi, which will give you 225. First you can just cross out the pi's, and then and then the answer will be basically given, I guess. Here you come to the second part of the video, which explains the special right triangles. There are two types of special right triangles. One is 45, 45 and 90, and the other one is 30, 60 and 90. Okay, here you have one example to solve for the special right triangle of 45, 45 and 90. The question says find x and y. One side is 8 radical 2. So in the 45, 45 and 90 triangles, two sides are the same answer, and the hypotenuse is a different one. So x is gonna be 8 radical 2, because it's both the same sides. And to find y, you'll have to multiply by radical 2, which will be 8 radical 2 times radical 2, which will be 8 radical 4. Then you multiply 8 times 2, which will give you 16. And this slide is the opposite of the previous one. Here's how to convert from radian to degree. To convert from the radian to degree, you should use the formula of radian times the 180 over pi. And it's really hard. Some people can mix up between pi over 180 and 180 over pi. If you use pi over 180, then you'll get the degree. If you use 180 over pi, then you'll get the radiant. An example of how to get the degree is here's one example to solve for the 30, 60, 90 triangle. To get the side of the triangle RI, you can divide by 2, so the answer will of RI is 7. To get TI, we multiply by radical 3, so the answer will be 7 radical 3.